What's up, you guys? Welcome back to this week's One Piece chapter review, and in this week's chapter 908, we started on a light note and ended on a heavy note. Now, we have Shirahoshi being healed by Shelly, and we have Mijigar promising to stay with them to protect them the rest of their stay in Reverie. We have the Queen Mother of Sanbei Kingdom trying to enter the Celestial Dragon's area, and her being turned away by the guards. But we also see that Sharlos is heavily wounded, and his father comes in, sitting on top of Bartholomew Kuma. Now, while Sharlos' father is talking to him about Mijigar, Don Quixote, and how the Don Quixote family is just odd, we see that the Queen Mother has disappeared, and that the Queen Mother was really Jewelry Bonnie in disguise, saying that she will never forgive them. Now, my own prediction is that we find out that Jewelry Bonnie is Kuma's daughter or something. Or I'm not sure if she's working with the revolutionaries, and that's the reason why she managed to sneak past and get into the Celestial Dragon area, or she just has her own personal vendetta against the Celestial Dragons. The same way that she has a personal vendetta against, I think, Blackbeard. Now, going back to Bartholomew Kuma, we see that Sabo is underground with the other Revolutionary Army commanders. And Sabo is so steaming mad that he really can't control himself. And he wants to go out there and save Kuma immediately. Because he views what happened to Kuma as a disgrace. But what is explained is that Bartholomew Kuma was the king of Sanbei Kingdom. And he was a part of the alliance that is with the world government. And when he broke off from it, the world government wanted to make an example of him to all the other kings and queens that are in the alliance with the world government. That this is what happens when you go up against the world government. No matter how high or how powerful you are, you can be brought down. You can be brought low by the world government. So they turned him basically into a mindless slave. They took away everything that made Kuma Kuma. And I just feel like it is, it's not only just disrespectful to everything that Kuma has accomplished so far as a revolutionary army member, but as well as basically to his physical abilities and his devil fruit abilities. This man is one of the strongest Chichibu Kai. Would I say he's in the top 3? I don't know. Given the current set of Chichibu Kai, I don't really know. But he was able to unleash devastating attacks. He's able to compress air into a freaking bomb. He's able to teleport people anywhere just by tapping them. He is almost indestructible. I mean, even Zoro slashing him didn't do much damage to him. He took on Ivankov. I just don't know what to tell you. Somebody like that is a massive military asset, and you're wasting that on pretty much renting him out as a rental slave to the Celestial Dragons. You're not only just disrespecting the man as a person, but you're disrespecting him as a weapon. You know, it's pretty much just like having this fully functional, sharp, durable, capable sword, and you just have it sitting up on a display case. And then you're just renting it out to your friends to have them set it up on their display cases. And having them spit on it. Have them rub it up against a rock. Have them, you know, pretty much just cut cabbage with it. You're wasting what the sword was meant for. Something such a fine caliber and quality, you're wasting it. Just simply putting it to menial use. There's a lot of conflicts going on in the new world, and the balance is starting to shift. And instead of having one of your greatest assets in the Chichibu Kai being a slave to a world noble or celestial dragon, why don't you actually deploy this Chichibu Kai to deal with these conflicts? I mean, Bartholomew Kuma, even as a slave, he's no freaking pushover. We saw that happen with the pacifistas. It took everything Law and Eustace Kid had together just to take one down. Even then, it wasn't really out for the count. Now, consider that Bartholomew Kuma is not only more durable than a pacifista, but he has devil fruit abilities that allow him to pretty much end the conflict instantly. If he wanted to teleport you to Impel Down, well, you're kind of screwed. But going forward from there, we also see that Nefertari, or her father, is going to meet the five elders. And we see Reverie now starting off. We see all the nobles from all the different kingdoms all sitting around. And we see them talking about Luffy and his assassination attempt on Big Mom, and whether he's going to take on Kaido next, and how Wano is a rogue state or a rogue country or a rogue kingdom. And we also kind of, at the end of the manga, pan back to the five elders, and they're discussing King Cobra and how he's a traitor for deciding to stay in his kingdom instead of joining the rest of the Celestial Dragons in Maryjoy. And in my opinion, I think it's just an absurd view to hold. Because, one, King Cobra and his daughter, they didn't necessarily choose this, I suppose. I mean, this was a decision made by their ancestors 800 years ago. You can't blame the descendants for what their ancestors 8 centuries ago had made, or what they had did. If they no longer follow that same belief system, or adhere to those same traditions or values or whatever, you can't hold them to what their ancestors did. They're a completely different generation. They're completely detached from what their ancestors were. But also, it gets me that even the five elders are subscribing to this whole "you live in the human world, therefore you're a traitor" mentality, because we see this happen with Don Quixote homing and his wife and his 2 sons, and when he decides to forfeit his Celestial Dragon status to live amongst humans, he's deemed a traitor. And when he recognizes just how wrong his decision was, he was not accepted back. And even when his head was brought back by his own son, they wouldn't accept his son back. They wouldn't reinstate his privileges. And it makes me wonder if this whole "you live amongst humans, you're a traitor" mentality is not out of malice, more so out of fear. More so out of fear that if a celestial dragon were to go down to the world of humans and see how the humans are actually living, how they're actually suffering, and see the injustice that is going on in the world around One Piece. A celestial dragon with a heart, like Mijigard, or Don Quixote homing, or Rocinante. Like, if they saw the injustice that was going on, and they still held their celestial dragon privileges, that they might actually turn the world on its side, that they might turn society itself on its side, because celestial dragons have almost unlimited amounts of wealth, unlimited amounts of power, and they have a lot more abilities and access to things that would help the people. And I think what the five elders and what the world government itself wants to do is keep the celestial dragons in a state of complacency, to keep them as sheep, to keep them in a state of a trance where they are unaware of what's going on in the outside world. So long as they're well fed, so long as they have slaves that entertain them, so long as they have these big expansive houses and property and luxuries in Maryjoy, they don't have to step foot into the outside world. And that's why it's been perpetuated in their minds. The outside world is just inferior. The air is toxic. The air is filled with commoners. It's dirty. Therefore, you don't need to breathe it. You should wear a bubble. And I think it's because the world government wants to keep them in this bubble, because they don't want any celestial dragon to go outside of it and then see what is actually going on, and to be enlightened or awakened to the fact that the world is awful out there. And while I'm living up the good life here, other people are suffering. Maybe I should do something. The world government doesn't want that. And that goes back to my theory for the last two chapters, 907 and 906, that that hat that is sitting in Mary Joy is the artifact of one of the original families, or one of the original kings that was a part of the world government in the beginning, that helped create the world government, and that they broke off at the very beginning, and they were considered rogues because they knew everything about the world government, and because they sided with humans, because they decided to go rogue, the world government decided to erase them from history. Now we see this at the end of the chapter, where we see His Majesty, assumingly the king of the entire world, sitting on the throne, and the five elders are kneeling in front of him and asking him, has he decided who to erase from history this time? And I think that this guy is immortal. I mean, that's my opinion. He's unaging. He's immortal. He's probably lived for centuries, and this is why even the five elders are bowing to him. I don't believe it's somebody that's extremely young. I can't see the five elders just bowing to somebody as young as Stelly or so on. I believe this guy is centuries old, and that he has a devil fruit or a type of ability, or he has some type of concoction or whatever that grants him this long life, longevity. And the fact that the five elders admitted that they can erase somebody from history, or they can pull some strings to erase somebody from history, in my opinion, solidifies my theory that the D clan is pretty much the clan that went rogue from the original Celestial Dragons, or the original families of the world government. I really can't wait to see the reveal of who is actually sitting on that throne. I also want to see who they're going to name to erase from history. And I mean, we all kind of are thinking it's going to be Monkey D. Luffy, because he's causing a big upstir. Even the five elders had admitted before they kneeled in front of the king that at the way things are going right now, there are waves going out throughout the One Piece universe, and they cannot control these waves. They cannot contain these waves much longer, and therefore there needs to be a great cleansing. Now, whether they mean, cleansing kingdoms, or cleansing pirates, or so on and so forth, who knows? But I can't wait for the next few chapters. There's going to be a break next week, so there's not going to be any One Piece chapter out. What do you guys think of Bartholomew Kuma's fall to being a rental slave of the Celestial Dragons? Do you think Sabo and the other Revolutionary Army commanders are going to cause chaos in Mary Joy? Do you think we're going to see a couple of dead Celestial Dragons? Who do you think is going to be named to be erased from history? And another thing I didn't talk about too much in this video is the fact that Midgard is a member of the Don Quixote family. And we see kind of like these two branches, Midgard and his father, and they are very unattractive. They're like butt ugly. Then we have Don Quixote homing his wife, Rocinante and Doflamingo, and they are very attractive, very put together. Their faces are well proportioned, their bodies are decent, and it makes me but it also makes me kind of confused, because Don Quixote homing, forfeited his family's Celestial Dragon status, and I thought it went for the entirety of the Don Quixote family. But it seems that it didn't apply to Midgard, and it seemingly didn't apply to his father. So that's definitely an interesting thing to take in. But it's also interesting to see just how big the the Don Quixote family is. And when we put that into consideration, that means all these other families of Celestial Dragons probably have several branches as well. That it doesn't just mean that Sharlos and his father are the only members of their family. There's other branches as well. There are other different groups. There's brothers, sisters, cousins, so on and so forth. And that's an interesting thing to look into. But this is VM. Like, comment, share, subscribe. What are your predictions? What did you like about this chapter? Bye.